Mesopotamia. I stumbled on through Aram, right?
Right.
And it's through the process of Ezra, through Xerxes, the Brotherhood of Light, that wrote the papers of teaching us the power of Satan, Ha-Satan, Satan.
Right.
It's the adjutant that produces the nature of becoming. Okay. So
Jesse and I giggle about that.
So trying to
just doesn't
connect,
preach well.
trying to connect with our friend, right? Yeah, I know, right? So practice divination. Separate out through division.
Divine God.
This is how you divine what is not and what is.
Right.
So you can see the number of the beast. You can actually discern and determine what is a beast, 666,
Right.
and what is to become,
Right.
999.
Right.
Through the process of living between the rivers, you find the mountain of exaltation.
Right.
This is the standing place.
Right.
So sharing with our friend, our common friend.
Okay.
Well.
All right. So our friend.
So our friend, and so explain the language of what Greek would define and
Our close
determine
friend.
to be meta.
Right.
Right. And
Right.
so, but again, it's Greek, so we got to take it back to what its origin is. Meta. Potamus, right? Because it comes from Greek, so you take it to its origin. So, and then it doesn't show anything. I've never found anything beyond the Greek construct so it limits your perspective of what Mesopotamia is. But
Right.
I do know it means to stand between the two rivers.
Right.
What's exactly what you're working on? Standing between the sine waves of the lower and the higher.
Right.
So I go into this verse. So this ties into the conversation we're having the other day, right? About the really tough swallow of being of the concept and the definition of Ha-Satan or Satan. Again, the lesser narrative would say that we partner with a construct that's produced itself to be called the devil or Satan, right? And it carries enough frequency to distort because they're partnering with a component now that is produced its own intention. It's gone into really full declination, a full fall.
Right.
But in its right definition, we've determined that really through digging through Ezra, which is Aramaic, the father's language, we can see that Satan is simply a transcript that is written to be against a people as an adjutant to produce intention.
Correct.
So it's only a name. It's only something that is in the parentheses of to say this name, aka frequency, has an outcome based on its frequency that has destination.
So it's a catalyst.
It is cosmic friction that would produce the intention of the friction. We call it mother, but yet it's the wrestling, right?
Right, but so you can use it as a catalyst.
You can use it as a catalyst. So I'm going to Satan for a reason, because he was called the most cunning, wily serpent in the garden. Now, negative connotation makes that spin in the direction of manipulation, contortion for control, right, complete inverted construct,
like a corruptive spirit,
right. But in the greater narrative, from perspective of father, going through the pieces of mother, going through fractals of light, where you become clear in the process of becoming
having a higher vantage point,
you gather the pieces of light, therefore you start seeing as light, and so your perspective starts to morph, therefore bringing clarity to the language and the intention.
Yes.
So now when you break down cunning, it actually says, it does say crafty and shrewd, but also right in the top three words is sensible.
Right.
Sensible and also prudent is in there as well. So now you have sensible and prudent. Okay. So I'm breaking this thing down, and it roots at Aram, Ayin, Resh, Mem.
Right.
Okay. And so
this is where you were talking about Aramic.
Aramic, right.
Yesterday.
I don't think the language, I think they've hidden the language of Aramaic, and I believe it's called the shrewd, sensible language of Aramic.
Right.
And it's
which ties into what we were talking about yesterday.
Which ties into the language of the deep. It actually fills up father to a definition to say, oh my goodness, it's a little deeper. But so when you look at crude from more cunning, the serpent, it's Ayin, Resh, Vav, Mem. But then its primitive root is just simply Ayin, Resh, Mem. So I'm looking at this and I'm going like, okay, this led me to a word called Aram, Aram Nahar Ayim. And
wait, Aram Nahar?
Aram Nahar, yes, Aram Nahar Ayim. So,
Again,
I
so
know.
Nahar
Yes.
is in the menorah.
Yes.
Yod Mem is the sea,
Yes.
which is exactly tied to Asherah.
Right. And so what does it mean? It means Aram of the two rivers.
Oh.
Now remember, we're tying.
So you're connecting it to Mesopotamia.
Well, I'm talking
Which was Greek.
I'm talking to the sensible. Like what was in the garden first was the spirit of sensible, for the purpose of experience.
Sure.
So tie it back. So
Okay.
now I'm looking at this and going, oh my goodness, this is still saying
So you're talking about the garden.
this. Well, I'm talking about the beginning and the end. This is now what came in the beginning for the intention of the end. So what came in the beginning was the light bearer who brought the sensible language of light, the higher frequency light, and it's teaching you stand between the two rivers. You walk between the two rivers. Aram Nahar Ayim. But they defined it as Mesopotamia.
Oh, Nahar.
Nahar.
Nahar. It's the mountain.
It's
the
this.
spiritual mountain.
Yes.
Nahar. That makes one, because Nahar means to glisten, doesn't it?
Yes.
Right.
It means to glisten at. Now hold on. Yes. Yes.
So I'm just connecting dots.
Yes.
So the spiritual path is the one that we go to the mountain where we learn, we glisten.
Yes. But yes, absolutely yes. We go there to glisten. So this is Aram. So now what are you learning? The shrewd language, the sensible language.
The prudent.
That is between the two languages. Take Mesopotamia out. That's Greek.
Right.
So
so you're saying you just found the word
it's got
instead of Mesopotamia.
right. It's got 1, 2, 3, 4. It's got 5 occurrences.
Okay.
All the occurrences. Now listen to. I'll read the titles for all the occurrences. And went to Mesopotamia to the city. Number 1. That's in Genesis.
Okay.
Deuteronomy. And from Pethor of Mesopotamia to Curse.
Okay.
The next one. King of Mesopotamia and the sons and the children.
Okay.
And then Chronicles and the horsemen from Mesopotamia from Aram
Wow.
Makkah.
So it was talking, the last one was king and then now horseman?
And then the last one is in Psalms, and it's strove for Aram Nahar Ayim. So now it's saying now, this one says its right name, but all the rest see Mesopotamia.
Oh, I get it.
Right. So now it's no longer guessing what Mesopotamia is.
It's Aram Naharim.
So what is Aram Naharim? Mesopotamia. It says you are now the sensible.
So you've become Aram
Harim.
Naharim.
You become the living one that has walked between the waters.
Two waters.
The sensible one. You have become as the crafty one.
Who has prudence.
The craftsman who has prudence, who is sensible. You are now the light in the garden.
So it's returning us back.
Now.
Right?
Right.
Because we become the light beings back in the garden.
So now I want you to go to a verse, Deuteronomy 23:4.
Okay, hold on. Let me pull it up. I got so many things open on my computer. It's not even funny. Heavy revelation today, man. And of course, it's the last day of Sukkot, so why wouldn't it be this way? What verse again?
Deuteronomy 23:4. This is only one of the occurrence of this.
Okay.
Okay, so now again, they're telling us it's Mesopotamia, but if you look a little deeper with the perspective and the frequency of higher.
I'll tell you, I am there.
Okay.
Why would they say debar is the word because?
Right.
Why would they translate that? That means word.
Right. So, but so now.
Upon the word.
Upon the word. The word does what? Establishes.
Exactly.
So upon.
Well, it's the door for the sunship, the airship.
So now.
Dalit bar.
Read this through.
Okay.
And then look where it leads you to.
Bread and water.
Yeah.
They hired against you Balaam.
But it's not. But it's not. We can't look at the name.
No, I know. It's
we have to look at you built the light container of the eye that is sealed.
Oh my gosh, that's ball. It's the other word for not, and it also means husband.
So now, right?
Right?
So yes. So now you've built the groom, because we are the groom and the bride in one. They're going to be married.
And then it's the son of Beor.
Right.
And Or is what we were talking about yesterday.
Right.
The built ones that are of the city, that have roused themselves awake.
Right. And you become, and the definition of that is it actually defines down as citadel, or they can't even define it because it's called castle and it just means lofty place.
I cannot believe this.
Now
they put Mesopotamia. Oh, they have so tried to get us off course.
Look at the last word.
Lechaleka.
Right. So they call it, what do they call it?
Wait.
Hold on. What do they call it?
Kalal. It's kalal, but it also means to call out in a loud voice.
But what do they define it as? This is important.
A curse.
They define it as a curse.
But that's not what it is.
But when you define it, so what is added to the prefix of that word?
A lamed.
A lamed. So let's look at the primitive root of this word. It means light.
Oh my gosh.
Literally swift.
Well, of course, because then you have the ability to travel at the speed of light. Of course you would be swift.
No, they put trifling in here and vile at the end of this thing, etc. But when you look at it, it's going, make bright, bring into contempt, right? But it's not. It's going like, again.
But it's the dual language.
It's the dual language. But it's like going like, you have made bright. That's why the lamed's on there. You've compressed light. Of course.
And you would never see this because since they didn't have the ability to see the codes, they could only take it off the narrative, the lesser narrative in which they could see, because they don't realize that the lamed means one who bears light as a teacher.
Right.
As a teaching shepherd.
All these occurrences are speaking of, when you look at all of them.
But this is also kaf lamed, which means to call out.
Yes, these are the called out ones.
Not only are they called out,
they're
but they
calling.
turn and they call people.
Right. Again.
And it's the two teachers, the lameds, right? They're right next to each other, so lamed. The two that are on the arc of the becoming.
Right. Everything is teacher taught.
Yeah.
Right? So everything is like from the perspective.
Taught,
from the lower sine wave of what we already established, the lower sine wave produces the teachings, the teachers, right, through being taught. But as soon as you connect the higher sine wave, now teshuva,
you turn.
Now you turn.
And face. And teach.
Because you come up as the backside, right? Now you're at the top. Now turn and do exactly what the process of you becoming. So now you become the face of the teacher.
Right. So that you call someone up to a higher position.
You become the completed mother of intention. Kalal.
So.
Yoral.
Right. Right. So Ra in the Law of One calls it learn, teach, learn.
Yeah. Same thing.
I know. But again, dot connecting.
Because
you can actually see it in the Hebrew language. Again, bridge building.
Right.
You got all of this stuff that's out there painting a vision with no stepping stones, and that's what this morning's talk was about.
Right.
The 44 stairs, the stepping stones.
Right.
The stairway to heaven.
So that's one verse in this, and this is again just redefining and condensing down how things are obfuscated, because we simply blow by the construct of Mesopotamia and saying this is what it is because someone has predetermined it to have definition.
Exactly.
Therefore, filling it up with a definition, giving it values. And then when we mutually consent to agree with its values, we become associated to the frequencies of that value.
And so if it's a lesser frequency, then that's what we partner
You're of
with.
lesser value.
Well,
because it produces the intention of what they're trying to present.
It still has a value.
It does.
It still has a value, but it's of a lesser narrative.
Right.
So there is another value that one can attach themselves to.
Absolutely.
The higher narrative.
Right, and that's exactly what it's saying. So this is just, again, trying to learn. Remember, Mesopotamia is broken down into the place of meta, between. You're standing between worlds. It's actually saying what it needs to be done. You need to stand meta. Great.
Exactly.
But really what it's saying, stand aram. Be crude and be crafty. Be sensible, be prudent. That's how you maintain to find the language of the deep. Don't be integrated into the system of control manipulation.
Stand
above it.
Right.
Overstand the lesser narrative to comprehend the greater's intention.
So, having said all that, I just look back at this, of what you're saying, because the Balaam, the son of Beor, I mean, we know the whole story of Balak and Balaam.
Right.
But that's not what, we're not talking about history.
No.
Balaam.
Yes.
Baal.
Yes.
The built.
Yes.
Ones that are the teachers of light.
Right.
Which you were just talking about. The people that are overshadowed.
Yes.
That are between.
Yes.
That are the tribesmen.
Yes. And to reemphasize that the dark is really the perfect place that you want to be. You want to be dark in the world. Again, higher perspective, higher frequency. You're only dark because you're so one with Mother and Father that they overshadow you and they cast their reflection upon you. So the walk of dark in the world produces the light of sonship, the completed daughters of intention, to therefore be called queen, wife of the heaven.
Right. What dwells between the cherubim?
0 point.
Yeah, but what does the scripture say?
Psalm 99. I dwell between the cherubim.
I am dwells between the cherubim.
The living waters, above and below. Absolutely.
It's literally, so they've translated it that the Father dwells between the cherubim.
Right.
But what it's really saying is that in the fullness of intention of our becoming, that is us as I am.
Aleph Bet. I, one, am built.
One who is built.
I am completed.
One who is built.
Aleph Bet, Father. So, between the two rivers, absolutely. Again, everything that we're speaking is synonymous with, everything is fractals in the earth of potential and the lesser narrative that gives us the template that we're to see to become. The ark in the wilderness is the laid down man. Journey through it, touch it, become it. And then it will stand erect as the completed mountain of intention. You now resonate to the frequency of the scent of the rose.
Again, that's Horus. Har Yeesh.
It's.
Oh my goodness, this is like fire hose. Oh my gosh. Yod He Vav He reigns. Malak.
Yes.
He dwells. Yeshav. Cherubim. It's not those little rascals. They put in the word between.
Right.
That is not even in there. He dwells.
He dwells.
The cherubim.
He is. He is the two joined as one. But yet there is still between. Like, again, if you don't, now you have to decipher through what between is. Because between the pieces is nothing. We've already established that. It's nothing. But they have to give the word so we would comprehend where we are right now. So between is viable. But yet between is what? As we know, it's nothing. You've gone through the journey where everything is by finding nothing, connecting, weaving the frequencies of above and below. You now resonate to 0 point energy. Touch the arc. Very, very amazing. Now, we've said this over and over again.
I know, but it's another thing to actually have the fullness of it.
We've never shared it with anybody.
No.
Because of the undoing. First of all, to touch the ark, how dare you? And then to call yourself Satan. Oh my goodness, you are of the pit, right? And go, yeah, unfortunately I am of the pit. I was brought into the pit for the purpose of finding the door out of the pit. There will be more than there will be many that are revealed out of the pit. Those that have become it, and those that have found the way out of it. For the locusts aren't what we think either. We've already talked about that.
I know.
Grasp and eat all the tender young grass. Become large, right? It's becoming the mighty in the gibber in the earth.
Exactly.
Through eating open hand and closed hand, yod kaf, feeding yourself, nurturing yourself to become the intention.
So, gibber, gimel, bar.
Right.
So Bar is son, but that's one that's an apparent heir to the throne.
Right.
And what are they? They have walked to the water, Gimel. They are lifted up. Bet, they are built through covenant. Resh, to become leaders. The head, the capstone, Gibberim. It's so crazy. It's so crazy about how the narratives have been created through the English language, and we have all these people walking around speaking things, creating a reality that never needed to be here. Like literally creating nightmares based on the English narrative that they partner with.
You just,
oh
so,
my gosh.
absolutely. So,
wow.
You brought up Gimel. When you take Gimel to its definition, first of all, it says camel. I can tie it in these verses. Camel is directly connected to the mule of royalty. I mean, they don't know how to flip the words. Camel, royal. Mule.
But back then, the people that had camels,
right,
they were considered royalty.
It is.
Not everybody had camels.
But when you, so the spelling of Gimel, right? So we have Gimel, Mem, Lamed.
Well, in the original Paleo, it was Gam.
Right.
So as it morphed,
right,
and it means to gather and assemble, what is it gathering and assembling? Because the Lamed was added to the suffix.
The teachings of light.
Of the Father.
Right, absolutely. Well, when I say that, I mean the complete...
Well, I know, but people don't know that.
Right, okay.
So it was added to the suffix, and very rarely do you see that. These are the teachers of light of the Father. There's going to be many of the Mother.
Right, right. So, and just to render it down for people that are listening, that when you break down Gamel, even in its definition, there's still other morphs of it that is spelled the same way, and it also means to deal fully. You have dealt with the nature fully. You are weaned and ripened.
Right.
And then we can now give sense to the teachings of Gamiel, right? And that means the reward of God, because now you become to deal fully with. You're weaned and ripened. Again, take the individual out from the narrative of lesser, look from the perspective of higher, and it now means Gamiel, because now you have elship.
Of course, because you got off the milk. You were weaned off the milk, which is mother's teaching, and you went into the meat,
so Gamiel,
which is father's.
So Gamiel is defined as the rewarded of El. You are now the reward.
How is Gamiel spelled?
It's Gimel, Mem, Lamed, Yod, Aleph, Lamed.
Gimel, Mem, Lamed, Yod,
Aleph, Lamed.
So there you go. So Gimel, Gam, the ones that are assembled, they walked to the water. They are now the teachers of light, of the Father's teaching. They have been given the power of the right hand. They hold their hand out to give. They've become the strength, the strong leaders that are the teaching shepherds that have the staff of authority, that are seen as one with God.
Yeah.
That's not too big of a...
No.
You know what I was actually just thinking? We were just talking about Gibberim.
I want to, yeah.
Gabriel's fist.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's what.
So that article I pulled up that I felt, with this plasmos energy and what you were been talking about.
Gabriel simply means, it ties into Gimel. It means mighty.
Gibber.
It means mighty man. It just breaks down to
Gabriel.
I don't want to diminish what everyone thinks Gabriel is, but it just simply means a Gibber, a mighty man of El. You have become El-ship produces the mighty frequency. When you break down,
Gabriel is the same as Gibberim.
Gibberim.
Same exact.
Same exact. I have it. I've got it recorded. It's like you.
But that won't preach well.
No, it won't. But again, we have to realize that we're talking about ourselves.
I know.
So when you break down the narrative of Gamiel, you can actually say from a different perspective to say, you are the royalty walking in the earth as mother. You are to find and follow the ways of teaching to become the teacher of the taught, through the vision of one to become light.
Absolutely. That's
all as I did.
That's all of Flamet.
That's all of Flamet. But all as I did is go through the journey of really skimming, taking a stone and skipping it through the letters, because each letter morphs into its own construct of a paragraph to a page.
Right.
But for the sake of time, we know what we're seeing through the accordion of what we're seeing, but to condense it, now we speak the coded language of vortexes. Right? So I can tell you, well done, son. You've gone into the world as royalty. You've answered the question of becoming, therefore you've become, right? The intention. The mothers in the earth that represent the one that walked away first, Yeshua as a representation of the mother. He was light, now you are light. You are now the vision and intention of one family standing as one light.
Absolutely. Amen and hallelujah. Woohoo! That's just too awesome. No wonder why you were like, oh my gosh. Okay, I gotta go back and work.
Go back to work, because there's more. There's more.
I know there's more, but I gotta get this out.
And that.
I know. Jesse, part 2.